Syllables and word structure. Okay, so we'll see some of the questions from this particular topic called syllables and word structure. Okay, the first question comes out, what is syllable? A unit of sound in a word or a letter in a word. So when we talk about that, a unit of sound in a word is known as a syllable. Then the next is, how many syllables are in the word magazine? If you talk about that, whether it's a two or three, we can say that three, we can say that magazine. So which of these is a monosyllabic word? We can say a hat or computer. It's a monosyllable. Mono means single syllabic word. So hat would be appropriate. A computer have more than one computer. So the next one, which of these is a trisyllabic word? When we say that trisyllabic word, we can find out pension, but not. It is not that. It should be government, isn't it? So it's a tri. Tri means three, trisyllabic. Then next is called as a how many syllable does technology, right? So we can say that it should have tech, no, low, z. So in that case, we can find out four syllables are there. Technology. Next is called as what is the stress pattern for the most two syllable nouns? Now, in that case, stress on the first syllable or stress on the second syllable. So, question is, what is the stress pattern for most two syllable nouns? Now, obviously, when we talk about the stress pattern of the stress pattern for most two syllable nouns would be stress on the first syllable, isn't it? Then some more questions. So, which rule applies to word ending in shun? Stressing on the last syllable, stressing on or stress on the penultimate syllable. So obviously it should be penultimate. Penultimate means uh, before the last is known as a penultimate. So in that case, we can say stress on penultimate syllable. In compound nouns, where is the stress placed? Compound nouns. When we talk about compound nouns, where is the stress placed? On the first part or on the second part? On the first part is the correct answer. Next is, which of these is a polysyllabic? So poly means multi, right? Multiple, multiple, multiple syllabic word. We can say that option B should be appropriate because law is a single syllable, whereas malnutrition is a polysyllabic word. So, question number four, how is stress achieved in spoken English? Stress achieved in spoken English by making the syllable louder, by writing it in capital letters. Obviously, when you speak the syllable louder, that's what is the answer. Okay, coming to the next one. So we'll discuss some of the activity-based questions. Now, the question here given, classify tier by syllable types, monosyllable or monosyllabic or bisyllabic. If you talk about tier by syllable type, tier is a single, so therefore monosyllabic. Bisyllabic is referring to what is the syllable type of interview. Um, Obviously, it's a trisyllable. Interview, so trisyllabic. Tri means three, and poly is called as a more than three. So 13, which syllables is stressed in the word present when it is a noun? Which syllable is stressed in the word present? Right. So in that case, if it is a noun, then obviously the sound will be in the first one. Next one, if it is a verb, then second. So, next question, which syllable is stressed in the word present? Present, when it is a verb, obviously second. Mm, Then, like I pointed, classify analysis by syllable type, trisyllable or polysyllabic. Obviously, it's a analysis, so therefore polysyllabic. More than three, you can say analysis. Uh, so, question number 16, what is the stress pattern for adjective ending in ic? IC. So, IC is nothing but a suffix one, and that generally used at the end of the word to when the word is an adjective. So, in that case, what is the stress pattern for adjective ending in IC? Is it a first syllable or penultimate? It's a penultimate. The next is called as in compound adjectives. In compound adjectives, where is the stress placed? On the first part, on the second part, on the second part. In compound adjectives, the stress placed on the second part. So, what is the syllable type of fishing? So, it's a bisyllabic fishing, right? Bi means two, mono is called as a single. So 13, which word is a trisyllabic word, professor or branding? We can say professor. So it's a trisyllabic, professor. So branding is a bisyllabic. Mm, Then next is called as a, what is the stress rule of compound verbs? So whether we put it in the stress in the first place or second part, obviously second part. The stress rule for compound. Compound means more than one word or one verb you find out. So in that case, we can use it in the second part. Okay. So some more questions. Yeah. So we are going to discuss with the minimal pairs questions. Minimal pair questions. Um, let's see that. The minimal pair questions. Yeah. So the first question is what? Identify the minimal pair Su and minimal pair. So obviously it should be Ju, right? Su and Ju, not smooth. Because here Su, when you talk about that, the sounds come like oo, and Zu is also minimal pair. So second is called it in the pair choke and joke. What differs? So we find out that the consonant sounds differ, ch and the j. Uh, so not the vowel. What is the contrasting sound in the fairy and very? Obviously, fur and ver. So which minimal pair represents voiced and unvoiced sound? Police and please. So it's a or pressure and pleasure, voiced and unvoiced. So pressure and it is called as a pleasure, isn't it? So answer B. What is the missing sound in something? Something. What is the missing sound in something? Smooth and other. Other would be there, right? Mm. Because if you talk about something small and small, both can be found in the means of the word called as a something and smooth. So other would be appropriate. Okay. So let's go to the some more questions here. Yeah, sound identification. When we talk about sound identification, what we can find out here, um, some questions on vowel and consonants. Okay, so the first question it said, what type of sound change in sin, sha, and j? Obviously, it's a consonant articulation, not vowel shift. Sh and j is a consonant, so therefore it should be known as a consonant articulation. Second, identify the pair with a voiced th. Uh, so think and these with and smooth. So think and these and with and smooth. So th and th both can be found in a with and smooth. Which pair has an unvoiced th? Which pair has an unvoiced th? So uh, has unvoiced, right? Now, when we talk about unvoiced, it means uh, one which create voice and the other that doesn't. And here you would find out a think and these has an unvoiced th, so not voiced. Which word has a silent b? Lamp or crab? Obviously, lamp because we produce lam but not b. But crab we find out b sound is there. Then 30, which word has a silent p? Psychology and photo. So psychology, of course. Uh, Moving some more questions. So homophones and homonyms, right? Um, Homophones, which are known as same sound, right, and homonyms, which is also producing same sound and uh, you can say that different spelling or different meaning, right? Let's look into it. What do we find out here? Choose the correct word. He wanted a ghastly days and date. So obviously means he wanted a day slave, not date. King Henry rode on his horse. We can say that ROD, right road, which that is correct. Not road. Road is a noun, whereas road is a verb. And here road means right road. What is the correct word? Please ring or ring the clouds. We can say that uh, please ring, WRING, ring the clouds, not RING. Ring rang wrong. So in that case, WRING is appropriate here. A diamond ring shown or shown. So it could be option B, which is called as a shown, SHONE, that is correct. Shine shown, shown. So in that case, SHONE, shining. SHOWN, shown is called as a show something. Which word is correct here? Again, the next question. Um, She made cookies, MAID or MAD? She MAD, right? Obviously, this would be appropriate. She made cookies. MAID is a noun which refers to a woman who works someone's house. Um, so that's what. Now, moving to some more questions. Stress and syllable application. Stress and syllable application. When we talk about stress and syllable application, we can find out some questions. What is that? Let's see. In critical, the stress is on in critical. Critical is the word. The stress is on the what? So the stress is in the first syllable, right? Not the second. Critical. In geology, the stress is on the, you can say that first syllable or penultimate syllable. Penultimate. Geology. So what is the stress rule for word ending in CY? Um, we can say that first syllable or antepenultimate syllable. Um, what is the stress rule for words ending in CY? Antepenultimate syllable. For the word blackbird, where is the stress? For the word blackbird, the stress is on first syllable. So in old fashioned, the stress is on the first part or second part. We can say the second part. So some of the mixed questions. So miscellaneous. So here is the question. Which of these is a bisyllabic word? We can say joker. Which is a monosyllabic word? It's a fill. Mono means single and the bi is called as a two. Then identify the polysyllabic word. Stability and fishing. We can say that stability would be polysyllabic. Which word has a stress on the first syllable? So we can say that table. Then where is the stress in educate? We can say that first syllable, educate. So the stress in malnutrition is on the penultimate syllable or antepenultimate. So we can say penultimate syllable. Similar to that, in presentation, where is the stress? In our penultimate syllable, penultimate before the presentation. Okay. So penultimate syllable, which is a trisyllabic word. A trisyllabic word would be uh, interview, interview. So what is means a bisyllabic? How many syllables are in magazine? We know that there are three syllables. What is the correct syllable type for president? We can say that trisyllable, not polysyllabic. Poly is more than three, and tri is three only. Okay, coming to some more questions. Yes, next is called as um, what is the main purpose of downward dropped intonation in statements? To indicate the end of an era or to show excitement. We can say that to indicate the end of an era because in declarative sentences, a downward drop in intonation that shows or signals finality and completeness and allowing the listener know that the speaker has finished their thought. So therefore, the first one would be appropriate, not to show excitement, um, to indicate the end of an idea. What happens to the intonation in an open-ended questions? So in open-ended questions, it rises at the end mm, because open-ended question often beginning with um, WH invite more information and rising intonation at the end suggests that the speaker is waiting for a detailed response, isn't it? So which type of question usually ends with a rising pitch? Um, so we can say that open-ended question or closed-ended questions, because yes or no question typically have a rising pitch toward the end, indicating that the speaker expects a simple, you can say that affirmation, affirmation or negation, isn't it? So next stage, in choice questions, what happens to the pitch on the first item? Choice question, what happens to the pitch on the first items? Does it drop or does it rise? So obviously it rises when listing, um, when you can say that listing options in a choice question, the pitch rises on the first item to indicate that more options are coming. For example, if I talk about that, uh, do you want tea? Do you want tea? So you can find out writing is there or coffee. So do you want tea or coffee? In that case, you could find out that the word tea is uh, rising, whereas coffee is nothing but a falling, right? So therefore, in choice question, what happens to the pitch on the first item? It rises. How does the pitch change in a series of items? So does it rise with each item until the last, or does it stay the same throughout? It rises with each item until the last. Why? Because in list, the pitch usually rises slightly with each item to indicate continuation and drops only on the last item to signal completion. Um, if I try to give an example, we can think of I bought, I bought, you can say that apples, or you can say that the oranges, bananas, and grapes. Right? I bought apples, orange, bananas, and grapes. Isn't it? Now, do you find out that falling part? Mm, So, bananas and grapes. Right? Falling. Now, in That is why we find out it rises with each item until the last. In like you can say, I got apples, orange, bananas, and grapes. So in which type of question does the intonation rise at the beginning and fall at the end? We know that that's called as a um, WH question, isn't it? Uh, so when we say that WH question, begin with a means slight rise in intonation to draw attention to the question word, but you can say that fall at the end to signal a definitive query. Example, like you can say, where is the station? Where is the station? Where is the station? That is the example. Where is the station? Isn't it? Uh, Next is called as a what does a downward drop in intonation typically indicate? What does a downward drop in intonation typically indicate? Like a change in subject or the end of an idea of or statement. So obviously option B, the end of an idea or statement. Um, because a downward drop marks the conclusion of a thought, um, helping the listener know the speaker is done in, and it's a common in, you can say that statements, or you talk about commands, or you talk about yeah, statements and commands, and the um, final item in a list, isn't it? The next question, which type of intonation is used when presenting a list of items? Rising intonation or downward intonation? So, rising intonation, as when we talk about rising intonation, it's used for all but the last item in a list to signal continuation, while the last item usually has a falling piece to mark the end of the list. So, like I give an example of I got apples, orange, and so and so. Similar to that, when you talk about presenting a list of items, we can say I like I like hiking, hiking, swimming, and reading. Swimming and reading, isn't it? So, rising intonation. Fine. Let's move to the next one. Yeah. Now, the next question stated about this type of question usually ends with a downward drop in intonation. Open-ended question. Open-ended question. What did you do yesterday? Often end with a downward drop in intonation, indicating that the speaker has finished and is waiting for a detailed response. Second, in a contrastive sentence, what does the change in pitch emphasize? The speaker's tone, one or one part of the sentence uh, over another. Now, obviously, we can go with one part of the sentence over another because in contrastive sentence, we say, I said tea, not coffee. Did you understand that? In contrastive sentence is called as I said tea, not coffee. What does the change in pitch? So one part of the sentence over another. So I said tea, not coffee. A shift in pitch highlights one part to stress the difference or impotence in a series of items. How does the pitch sound change with the last item? Then that is the next question. In a series of items, how does the pitch change with the last item? It stays the same or it falls? Obviously, we can go with the it falls because in a series, the pitch usually rises or stays level on each item, but falls on the last item to signal the end of the list, you can say. And the example that you can find out, which is, you can say, um, apples, bananas, and orange. Apples, orange, and bananas, and bananas, right? So that falls. Now, Next stage, which word typically carries stress when new information is given in a sentence? Which word typically carries stress when new information is given in a sentence? Mm, So obviously, option B, noun. Noun often carry stress in sentences when they introduce new information, as they typically represent the focus or subject of the message. Let's say that if I talk about, mm, I saw I saw a cat on the roof. I saw a cat on the roof. Yeah. Then next stage, how does the intonation typically behave in yes or no questions? So in yes or no question, there is usually a slight right at the start to grab attention and a fall towards the end. Like you can say, did you did you finish your homework? Did you finish your homework? Homework, right? So in that case, we can say it rises at the beginning and falls at the end. So answer option A. Which question type often signals the listener to respond? Um, Generally, we find out that yes or no questions. So with the rising intonation, clearly, prompt the listener for a response. Like you can say, um, are you coming? Are you coming? Isn't it? Are you coming? So in that case, you would find out in yes or no questions that generally um, signals the listener to respond. What happens to the intonation in a sentence when new information is provided? Um, that you can say stress shift to the means not to the verb but to the noun, right? So intonation in a sentence when new information is provided. So when presenting new information, the noun is stressed to the highlight the new concept or item being introduced. Like we can say the book is on the table. The book is on the table. So we find out the book would be um, uh, taking the stress shift to the noun, the book. So next stage, what does the rising pitch in a choice question indicate? We can say that what does rising pitch in a choice question indicate? So obviously the first choice, because in choice question, the rising pitch on the first item signals continuation, like the example we took, do you want tea or coffee? So this pattern helps differentiate between the options, isn't it? Okay. Next is the next one. How does intonation help with meaning and contrastive sentences? How does intonation help with meaning in contrastive sentences? Um, if you talk about it changes the subject, no, it changes the emphasis of the sentence. Like you can say intonation shifts emphasize the contrast between ideas or parts of a sentence and helping clarify meaning. For example, I want tea, not coffee. The pitch highlights the distinction. Next is, in which question type does the intonation typically start low and rise at the end? We can say that um, it's in a closed-ended question, not open-ended, because closed-ended yes or no question use rising intonation at the end to indicate a query that requires a simple response. Like think of the kind of a sentence. Uh, you can say, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" So in that case, you can find out you uh, voice your sentence are, which is a low, and rise at the end. Are you ready? So that is what. The next stage called as which type of sentence has a downward drop and at the end to show completion. Is it a question or statement? So we can say that statement because you talk about any of the declarative sentence often end with the following intonation to signal the completion of the thought, right? Like you can say, I went to the park. I went to the park. Went to the park. So downward drop at the end to show completion. Next is what type of intonation pattern is used in did the couple split? We can say in a rising, right? Rising pattern, it is used in did the couple split. So we can say that because this is a yes or no question. Did the couple split? It's a yes or no question. Like this one, typically end with the rising intonation to indicate query. Uh, Next is in a list of items, how does the pitch change with the final items? So obviously it falls. The pitch falls on the final item of a list to indicate the list is complete. Like you can say, I bought apples, oranges, and bananas, isn't it? So next is in a yes/no question, which part typically shows a rising pitch? Um, in a yes or no question, which part typically shows a rising pitch? um, the subject or the auxiliary verb. Obviously, it's a auxiliary verb because the auxiliary verb usually carries the rising intonation in yes or no question. Like you can say, did you, did you, did you finish, did you finish your homework? Did you finish your homework? Right, homework. So in that case, you would find out the rising pitch is there in the auxiliary verb. Did you? So therefore, next is you can say which intonation pattern signals that it is the other person's turn to speak. Which intonation pattern signals that it is the other person's turn to speak? Obviously, rising, because rising intonation often indicates that the speaker expects a response or that it is the listener's turn to contribute. Okay. The next one, in the sentence, Cat studies history, but he doesn't use it. Which part receives emphasis? Uh, is it Cat studies or doesn't use it? Doesn't use it, right? The second clause, actually, because the second clause receives um, emphasis to contrast it with the first clause, highlighting the unexpected or contradictory part of the sentence. Okay. Now, the next stage, which type of intonation pattern usually ends in a downward pitch in a statement? We can say it's a downward drop, not rising inflection. So, why? Because statements typically end with a downward drop in pitch to signal the completion of an idea or thought. Right, therefore. So, next stage, which type of question usually ends with a rising intonation at the end? We can say closed-ended question, which is requiring yes or no response, yes or no response, often have a rising intonation at the end to indicate inquiry. Next is, how does the intonation pattern change when new information is introduced? Right? Is it a stress shifts from the verb to the noun? Then stress stays the same. Stress, actually, it should be first one. Stress shift from the verb to the noun because when new information is introduced, the noun usually carries the stress to emphasize the new element of the message. Okay. Next is, what does a change in pitch usually indicate in a sentence? What does a change in pitch usually indicate in a sentence? A new idea or a contrast or emphasize? A contrast or emphasize? Because changes in pitch are often used to highlight contrast or you can say emphasize specific parts of the sentence. Right. Now, next is called as which of these sentences showed a falling intonation pattern? Which of these sentences shows a falling intonation pattern? Um, Now, the first sentence said, "Have you have you been here before? Have you been have you been here before?" Okay, now this one is arising. So obviously option B, the students are from National Science Academy now, right? The students are from National Science Academy. So the declarative statement and it's a interrogative sentence. So this declarative statement ends with a falling intonation indicating the completion of an idea. So therefore option B should be the appropriate answer to this. Next stage, which intonation pattern is used in a sentence like what Indian customs do travelers find intriguing? Is it a down yeah. What Indian customs do travelers find intriguing? So obviously downward drop, not the rising inflection, because it's a double-edged question. Typically have a downward drop in intonation, signaling that the speaker is requesting specific information. Well, moving to the some more questions. So what is the primary purpose of intonation in a statement? To indicate the end of an idea. Because intonation in a statement often includes a falling piece to signal the completion of the thought. Okay. Second, what happens to the intonation in an open-ended question at the end? Um, in open-ended question, at the end, it falls. It falls. Um, because open-ended double-edged questions usually end with the following intonation, and it shows that the speaker is asking for detailed information. Next, which intonation pattern is used to indicate that the speaker has finished speaking in a statement? Mm, So we can say that it's a falling intonation because falling intonation is commonly used at the end of statements to show the speaker is finished. Next is, which sentence would have a falling intonation? Um, do you want some coffee? I'm going to the store. Okay, so um, you can find out A is nothing but a question, so it cannot be. And B would be a declarative statement. This declarative statement ends with a, you can say, downward intonation, typically for statement, downward. Next is called as in a closed-ended question, the intonation usually falls at the end and rises at the end. It rises at the end because closed-ended yes or no question have a rising intonation at the end to signal they are a query. So next is what happens to the intonation when a series of items is listed? Um, it rises with each item and falls on the last, or it rises with each item and stays the same at the end. So we'll go for the first one because the pitch rises on each item to indicate continuation and falls on the last item to signal the end of the list. Okay. The next one, in a double-edged question, what happens to the pitch at the end? It rises or it falls? It falls. Because double-edged questions with a falling pitch emphasizing the need for specific information, isn't it? The next one, we can see here, which intonation pattern helps indicate the speaker is expecting a response? We can say rising pitch. A rising pitch signals that the speaker is inviting a response or confirmation from the listener. Second, how does the intonation behave in a sentence when new information is introduced? How does this intonation behave in a sentence when new information is introduced? Um, we can say that the stress shifts to the verb, the stress shifts to the noun, the stress shifts to the noun. In a sentence like he did not steal the money, what happens to the pitch to convey a contrast? We can say that the pitch rises on did not, the pitch falls on money. So the pitch rises on did not. Because to emphasize the contrast negation in this case, the pitch rises on You can say did not. Mhm. Next, what is the purpose of rising pitch in choice question? So to indicate an option, or you can say to show a contrast between choices. It should be to indicate an option because rising pitch is used on each option in choice questions to highlight the different possibilities, isn't it? Now, next is called as um, which sentence would likely end with rising intonation? Um, will you be there tomorrow? She finished her homework. It should be which sentence would likely end with a rising intonation. Obviously, it should be option A because in declarative sentence we find out falling. So here it should be yes or no question of an end with a rising intonation to indicate query. Now, what happens to the intonation when an item in a series is being mentioned? What happens to the intonation when an item in a series is being mentioned? You can say it stays the same throughout. It rises with each item, then falls on the last. We can go with the option B because the pitch rises per item in the series to indicate continuation and falls on the last item to show completion, isn't it? Now, the next one in a sentence like the students are from National Science Academy, which I think we already discussed. How is intonation used? The pitch rises, the pitch falls. Mm, the pitch falls actually because this is a declarative statement and that ends with a falling pitch to indicate completion. Next, what is the typical intonation pattern for a yes or no questions? Rising at the end or falling at the end? Rising at the end. Yes or no question generally have a rising intonation at the end to signal a question being asked, right? Okay, okay. Some more questions. Uh, It is given that in a contrastive sentence, how does intonation help expressing meaning or convey meaning? It rises to show agreement or it changes the emphasis to highlight differences. Obviously, it changes the emphasis to highlight differences because intonation shifts to emphasize the contrasting elements in the sentence, making the difference clearer to the listener. Next, in a sentence, I wanted to eat ice cream, but she wanted cake. How does the pitch vary? So obviously the pitch falls uh, when the pitch falls when but she wanted cake is mentioned. The pitch falls but she wanted cake is mentioned, right? Because the pitch typically falls on the second contrasting element to signal the completion of the idea. So next one is called as a which type of sentence typically ends with a downward drop. We can say that statements. mm, because statement often end with a downward drop in pitch to indicate finality or completion of the thought. Next is, what does the change in pitch express when someone says, I didn't steal the money? So it indicates a doubt, it emphasizes the negation of an action. So if you see that it is given with a did not. So in that case, it emphasizes the negation of an action because I did not steal the money. Um, it emphasizes the negation of an action because a rise or stress on did not highlight the negation, making it clear that the action was denied. Next is in the sentence, will they finish the project before March? What type of intonation is used? We can say yes or no question. And if it is a yes or no question, typically a rising intonation, right, at the end of to indicate inquiry and elicit a response. I hope you understood all this. Let's move to some different type of questions. Yeah. Now look at these different type of questions here. It says which sentence is wrongly paced. The person who never made a mistake never made anything. So the person who never made a mistake never made anything. The person who never made a mistake never made anything. So in that case, we'll go for the option C because the person who never made a mistake never made anything. So which sentence is wrongly placed? No, sorry, which wrong sentence is wrongly placed? So management problems always turned out to be people problems. Management problems always turn out to be people problems. Management problems always turn out to be people problems. Obviously, wrongly placed. So option C is a wrongly placed, and because it's the speed is taken a lot of pause. Um, Next is called a which sentence is wrongly placed. Big companies are small companies that succeeded. Big companies are small companies that succeeded. Big companies are small companies that succeeded. So obviously option B. Which sentence is wrongly placed? Wrongly placed. Hard work never killed anybody, but worrying about it did. Hard work never killed anybody, but worrying about it did. So obviously option B is wrong. Hard work never killed anybody, but worrying about it did. Which sentence is wrongly placed? We can find out ideas. Ideas are like children. Your own are wonderful. Your own are wonderful. Okay. Second is ideas are like children. Your own are wonderful. Okay. Out of this, we can find out option A is wrong. Okay. Moving to the next one. Some of the 2 mark questions that we find out here. Let's have a discuss on these. Um, the question asked here in the first one, what are the 3 rules to be followed during the fluency game? Um, we can say that the 3 rules to be followed during the fluency game. Um, we can say the first one is called as avoiding hesitation, avoiding hesitation, hesitation. Um, you can say that avoiding hesitation of more than 3 seconds. Then second is called as just staying on topic. Then third one is called as just speaking in complete sentence, speaking in complete sentence, complete sentence, isn't it? Next question. Why is it important to avoid hesitation more than 3 seconds in the fluency game? Because it is important to avoid hesitation more than in 3 seconds in the fluency game because hesitation does nothing but disrupts. Disrupts what? Disrupts the flow of speech. Disrupts the flow of speech and making it difficult for participants to maintain smooth conversation and increasing the risk of losing their turn or audience attention. Okay, so next is explain how synonyms can help in improving fluency while speaking. Um, you can say synonyms can help in improving fluency by expanding a speaker's vocabulary and allowing them to avoid repetition. And um, this actually enables a more varied and natural speech flow, making it easier to continue the conversation without even pauses. You can say avoid repetition. Right. Now, question number 4. What is the role of moderator in a group discussion? What is the role of the moderator in a group discussion? Actually, he's to guide the conversation, ensure all participants have an opportunity to speak, and keep the discussion focused on the topic, and maintain the balanced flow of ideas. So you can say guide the conversation, ensure ensure all participants have participants have an opportunity to speak, have an opportunity to speak. Then keep the discussion focused on the topic and maintain a balanced flow of ideas. These are the things. How does using linkers contribute to improving fluency in speaking? Um, Using linkers contribute to improving fluency by connecting ideas smoothly, making the speech coherent and easier for the audience to follow. Linkers also help in transitioning from one point to another without abrupt pauses. Okay, six. Uh, what should the participants do if someone deviates from the topic during the fluency game? If someone deviates from the topic during the fluency game, participants or the moderator should gently remind them to stay focused on the main topic to maintain the flow and relevance of the discussion. Okay, then what is the purpose of playing the devil's advocate during the structured discussion on current affairs? You can say that the purpose of playing the devil's advocate during the structured discussion on current affairs is to um, challenge the group's assumption, uh, and also promote critical thinking, critical thinking, critical thinking, and stimulate deeper analysis of the topic being discussed, isn't it? Then next is describe the importance of using functional language in a group discussion. Functional language in the group discussion. So you can say that the importance of using functional language in a group discussion is that it helps participants um express ideas clearly and uh, clearly and you can say efficiently, manage conversation and make logical arguments, enhancing overall communication, isn't it? Okay. Next is what should be done if someone repeats content words or phrases during the fluency game? Um, so we can say they should be encouraged to find alternative expressions or words to improve their speech, variety, and avoid redundancy. That could be done. Avoid redundancy, and you can say improve their speech variety, right? Next is what is the expected outcome of the group discussion activity on a controversial topic? So you can say that the expected outcome of the group discussion activity on a controversial topic is for participants to express their opinions clearly, listen to, you can say that listens to differing viewpoints, differing viewpoints, and engage in a constructive dialogue, which may lead to better understanding or possible consensus on the issue, or called as argument on the issue, or common opinion on the issue, isn't it? That's all. Okay, moving to some more questions on 2 marks. Mm, Let's see how many more are there. Okay. So let me discuss this 20 questions, and if possible, then after we'll end here and the session. Now, these are the two mark questions based on the text about Indianism. Now, the question is called as what is meant by Indianism in the context of English uses? So, when you say that Indianism, that refers to English usage influenced by Indian languages and culture, often resulting in non-India, or you can say non-standard grammar and phrasing. Non-standard grammar and phrasing. Okay. Second, explain the error in the sentence. I'm knowing the result. Why is it incorrect? So obviously, uh, I'm knowing is incorrect because no is a stative verb. The word no, K-N-O-W, is a stative verb, right? Stative, S-T-A-T-I-V, stative verb, and doesn't use continuous forms. The correct sentence should be what? I know, right? I know the result. Next is identify the error in the sentence. I visited the Mysore and explain why it is incorrect. I visited the Mysore. So the error you can find out is the unnecessary uses of what article the, right? So the before Mysore, the correct sentence is I visited Mysore, right or not? So why is the sentence? Let us discuss about the book. Let us discuss the book, not about. So why the sentence? Let us discuss about the book considered grammatically incorrect. If you say that there is in the unnecessary use of preposition mm, about, so because the word discuss itself is indicating you are discussing the book. So it is wrong to say that let us discuss about, because after discuss, about is not used. Okay, next is called as explain the mistake in the sentence. My all friends are calling. My all friends are calling. Why? What should be the correct word order? Um, if you see that the error is incorrect word order, and the correct sentence could be all my friends, all my friends, all my friends are calling. Right. Next is question number 6. What is that? What is the error in the sentence? I have a uncle who lives in Mumbai. Why it is incorrect? So A before uncle, which starts with a vowel sound. The correct sentence would be I have an uncle. So who lives in Mumbai? Why is the sentence correct? I only cooked the curry. An example of improper uses of the word uh, only. Only cooked the curry, an example of improper uses of the word only. Yeah, only should be placed before the action or object it modifies. The correct sentence should be only, I cooked only the curry. I only cooked the curry has a different meaning. So because only is the word it uses before the word it modifies. Next is what is the issue with the sentence? Please bring back when you come. So which article is missing? The missing article is A because the correct sentence is please bring a bag when you come. Explain the common error of using since instead of in the sentence. I have been going to work since 4 years ago. So obviously since is wrong here because since should be replaced with a for when referring to a duration. The correct sentence is I have been going to work um, for, uh, for 4 years. For, for 4 years ago. So for is a period of time, since is a point of time. Why is the phrase I can be able incorrect in English? What should it be replaced with? So when you say I can be able is you can say redundant, repetition or redundant. Repetition or redundant. Why it is called as a repetition or redundant? Because the correct sentence if you say, um, I can, right? Or you can also say, I'm able to do the task. I can do the task, or I'm able to do that task. But I can be able to, can and be able, both are showing the ability, so therefore it is redundant. Next is, what is the mistake in the sentence, I passed out from school? How should it be phrased correctly? So passed out is used for, you can say, fainting, not graduating. The correct sentence should be what? I graduated. I graduated. Graduated from school. I graduated from school. That would be correct. Now, next is, why is the use of also incorrect in place of to? Yeah. Why is the use of also incorrect in place of to in the sentence? She went to the party also. Uh, why can't we write like she went to the party too? Hmm. Now, remember that also should be used earlier in the sentence. To is used at the end, actually, right? She also went to the party, or she went to the party too, right? Now, the correct sentence, she went to the party too, is appropriate here, right? Um, if also it's used at the beginning, or also she went to the party, or she also went to the party, will be okay. Now, what does the phrase curly hair indicate, and how can this error be corrected? Now, when you say that curly, it is redundant because two times it is used. Curly is used two times, redundant. Then it should be curly hair. That is okay, right? Next is called as what common mistake is associated with the use of word open and close in Indian English? So open and close are sometimes incorrectly used without an object. The correct usage is open, open the door and close the door, right? Now, how can the phrase back be incorrectly used in place of ago? Give an example. So back is incorrectly used for time. The correct phrase, you can say, 2 years back, 2 years ago. Now, in that case, what you would find out, um, when you talk about back, it is incorrect used for time. So ago is appropriate. So 2 years ago is example. Why is the phrase pass out considered incorrect when used to mean graduating from? What is the correct term to use? Now, when you say that phrase pass out, that refers to fainting, like we discussed, not graduating. The correct term is graduate. Next is called as a give an example of an Indianism where a preposition is incorrectly used. Okay. What is the give an example of an Yes, you can take that example where you can say discuss about should be discuss. The correct sentence is let us discuss the topic, isn't it? So that example we can say. Then the next one is called as what is the impact of using Indianism in an international settings? Indianism can lead to you can say misunderstanding, and make communication less effective. Yes, make communication less effective in international settings. Okay. How can the misuse of determiners the and a affect English sentences? Uh, Remember, misuse of determiners can cause grammatical errors and confusion, like the my friend instead of my friend, right? So a Sharma, which is some in before proper noun or before the kind of means primary purpose, if we use the and a, so that would be considered wrong. Why is it important to avoid common Indianism when speaking English intentionally? Avoiding Indianism makes sure or ensures clearer professional communication, professional communication in international content. International content. Okay, that's all. Thank you.